My name is Melanie.
And we are here to talk about what we read this month. So you want to begin? Because you have a big stack over there. Yes, I have a big stack.
So every season I try to read seasonally. I know I mentioned this last time in our last video. So I've read a lot of wintry holiday things this time. So I will start by talking about Reindeer Boy. And it is like a manga style graphic novel. And it tells the story of Quincy, who when she was little, she woke up to find this mysterious person putting a present under her tree. And so every Christmas Eve, she has this dream and wakes up to find a gift wrapped in tinfoil under her tree. So flash forward a couple pages and she's back from winter break and there's this new kid who has reindeer horns. And it's like completely acceptable. Everyone's like, oh, look at the new kid who has reindeer horns. And she finds out that there's actually a bunch of people that just moved to town that have horns, and they have names like Comet and Cupid and Blitzen and all that. And so she's like, is this a coincidence or is something happening here? So it's super cute. The drawings are all monochromatic, very similar to traditional manga, but it's read forward instead of backwards. So
that sounds so cute.
It's so cute. I know Liz read it too, and she wanted to talk about it, but she couldn't be here today. So very highly recommended.
Place a hold on it.
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to talk about one that I couldn't find a hard copy to bring with me. It's A Promised Land by Barack Obama. It's enormous.
It's like huge.
I had to listen to that one. I don't like to hold a really enormous book when I'm reading it and be like, oh, I have so much left to go, so I listen to everything anyway, but I feel like that helps when it's an audiobook and you don't know, like, there's so much there. So basically it's the first half of his memoirs, which is crazy. But I didn't feel like it was boring at all. I mean, I guess it depends maybe on how you feel politically, but I just feel like he's a decent human, and like it was interesting to hear about his struggles, why certain things happened the way they did when he was president. And it's like, it's leading up all through trying to get elected, being elected in like the first couple years before he's reelected. So
interesting.
It was really good. There's nothing shocking in there, like what's happened the last several years. So it was just nice to hear. He's such a good speaker. He narrates it himself, so it's like
that's
he's
cool.
talking
I like that.
to you. Yeah, and it was really good. So I recommend it, even though it's not a YA book. I still think teens would like it if they're interested at all.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was good.
Okay. Next is 10 Blind Dates by Ashley Elston. And this is actually one of the Florida Teen Read books this year. So it's about this girl who, it's holiday break and her sister's pregnant. So her parents are going to spend the break with her to make sure, because she has some complications in her pregnancy there. So they're going up there and she's going to go stay with her, I think she calls her Nona. I don't remember what she calls her.
A grandparent?
Yeah, it's her grandparents, but they have this huge Italian family. So she goes to stay with her grandparents, and there's like 27 of her relatives that just come and go all the time. And before she goes to her grandparents, she's really excited because her parents are out of town and she's going to go hang out with her boyfriend a lot. And so she surprises him by going to this party in like the first chapter. And he's talking to his friend about how he's excited that she's going because he thinks he needs a break from her, and he's like thinking of breaking up with her. And so she's like, okay, bye. Like, I'm not going to put up with that.
Yeah.
She's heartbroken, so she leaves the party. And she gets to her grandma's house, and they have this whole idea to for each family member to set her up on a blind date every day between now and New Year's. So she's like, oh my gosh. So like her grandpa picks one, her 12-year-old cousin picks one, and it's really funny to see all of the different people that she gets set up with, and they all do like really fun things, like they go to Christmas parties and like ice skating, and it's really cute. It's a very light read. I read it in one day, and she ends up with someone at the end, so it's like a happy ending, and it's really cute. It's a lot of family and warmth and holiday magic.
Yay.
Which is my favorite.
That's good. Okay, so I'm gonna show off Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas.
It's such a pretty cover. I love it.
It is a nice cover. So this one is about a transgender boy who belongs to a very big family, and there's some difficulty, like he's trying to prove his gender because his family is like, no, you'll always be my little girl type thing, right?
Right.
So he's having a struggle there, and so he feels this conflict between being in this very big loving family and also not being what they want, you
Right.
know? So that's like pulling with one arm and pushing with the other one.
Yeah.
So that part was really good. The main character's name is Yadriel. So
Oh, I like that name.
he belongs to this family of witches. So he's trying to prove that he can become a brujo, and they don't think he can because in their mind he's a girl. And so, but he does successfully do it on his own without
Oh,
them.
cool.
And then he accidentally summons a ghost.
Hate it when that happens.
Yes, named Julian Diaz, and it's kind of like, is this boy falling in love with a ghost? It kind of seems like it, and how can that end well? You know, I don't think it really can. So you're kind of, the whole time you're like, what's going to happen? Why is he a ghost? Julian doesn't remember how he died, and so they're kind of trying to backtrack and solve that mystery. And then also, Yadriel's cousin mysteriously dies, and so there's multiple murders happening, and they're trying to solve them. So family story, same time as a murder mystery. It's really good. The characters, I
like
think you
that.
really fall in love with them. So
I like how some books have so much going on at once. You're like, how can that all possibly be one book?
right,
But it all makes sense when you read it.
yeah, and it was good. I recommend it.
I actually have that checked out right now, so
Let me know what you think
I
of it
will.
next month.
I will. And speaking of that, I've read a book that everyone recommended in the last month. So I'm reading A Deadly Education, and
Okay.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's so good. And I just read Every Day that Ashley recommended for in the first What You're Reading.
I read that like 5 years ago or
It's
something, like a
so
long
good.
time ago.
I
It's
had to
pretty
watch
good.
the movie, and the movie is completely different. They change everything, and
Yeah.
I did not like it.
Oh,
So I recommend watching and reading because it was so different. It's like completely different stories.
so do you think that you would have liked the movie if you hadn't read the book and were
Probably,
expecting that? Yeah.
probably, but I'm very much like, I'll watch a movie, I'll be like, nope, that's different. That dress should be blue, not pink. What are they doing?
Be factually accurate.
Yes.
Yeah. That's funny.
Okay. So speaking of movies, actually, I'm going to talk about this one. This is Pan's Labyrinth, and it actually is based on the movie, but the movie came out first. So the book, it was a Guillermo del Toro movie, and the book is based on the movie. So it was so cool because it's literally like second for second what happens in the movie happens in the book. And it's about this little girl, and her name is Ophelia, I think. Isn't her name Ophelia?
I actually have not seen that movie.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. Okay, I'll tell you about it. Hold on. Her name is Ophelia. And she moves with her very pregnant mother to live with her stepfather, who is like this cruel general. And this is like set in Spain. I read this like last month, so I'm trying to remember. It's set in Spain, and they're like fighting the fascists, I think, or he's fascist, one or the other. Like it's like during the fascist regime, and there's like people who they're fighting. And she finds this mysterious labyrinth on his land, and she meets this faun. And the faun is like, you're the reincarnation of a princess. You have to do these 3 tasks, and you can like claim your throne. So she goes to do these tasks, and they're crazy things that like no child should ever have to do. Mm-hmm. But it's like, the book is just, it's actually written by Cornelia Funke, and she wrote Dragon Rider and Inkheart and a Christmas book I'm actually reading right now that I did not know. It was like, it's called When Santa Fell to Earth, so it's super cute. But her writing style is so amazing. Like, there's one part in it.
Is it illustrated?
It is. There's illustrations on the sides, and then there are stories throughout it that have like super detailed illustrations, and it's so
It looks beautiful. Cover's beautiful.
Yeah, so this one part, just like a thing. Once upon a time when magic did not hide from human eyes as thoroughly as it does today, there was a mill in the middle of the forest, which was said to be cursed by the death of a witch who'd been drowned by a nobleman's soldiers in the pond. So like the writing is so magical and beautiful, and I 100% recommend it. The movie is more gory graphic than the book is, so I would not watch it unless you're like 15, 16 and up. Definitely get your parents' permission to watch it. The book is not as graphic because you don't see the blood and stuff, so, but very good.
What did you feel like the book added that the movie didn't have?
It had so much insight into the characters, like, because the book jumps from every single character's perspectives. It's not just from the main characters. So, like, you see why the maid did what she did, and you see like what made him cool and why the fawn is doing this, and it was just so interesting, like, to see the scenes, but like you could hear in their you could see into their minds in the book.
Yeah.
So very, very good. I loved it.
Sounds good.
Yes.
Okay, so let me talk about another adult book, but I think would be totally fine for teens to read, called The Pull of the Stars. It's by Emma Donoghue, and she also wrote, she's written a bunch of stuff, but
That sounds familiar.
she wrote Room, which was turned into a movie a couple years
Yes.
ago. So in this book, it takes place over like 2 days, and it's pretty much all in one room, so it's very confined. It's about this nurse, what's her name? Julia Power, and she's Irish, so it's set in Ireland, and it is in 1918.
Ooh.
So it's pretty much covering like the Spanish flu is like the pandemic of that time. When I was reading it, I wrote down, were there always this many books about pandemics? And I just didn't know until,
Yes.
yeah, because I picked it up, I had no idea that's what it was about. And I was like, another book, because I just read some others too. But anyway, so it explores healthcare, like class issues, abuse of power in the hospital. And so she's a nurse, you're pretty much just with her in her hospital room, and she's just taking care of pregnant women, but the mortality rate is really bad for pregnant women who have the flu. So you're, following along with her while she's training someone and while she's trying to keep these women alive. And it's just really absorbing. Like,
Yeah.
It's a short read, but it's really well written. I thought it was really good.
Awesome.
So that is The Pull of the Stars. Apparently that's what influenza means in Spanish.
Really?
I think so. Hopefully I don't have that wrong.
We'll
She
fact check
explains
later.
it in the beginning of the book, but I don't have a copy with me. They were all checked out.
That's good. That means it's popular.
Yeah.
This book just came out, and I was the second person to have it on hold. And I'm so excited because it's so much prettier than I thought it would be. So this is How the King of Elfheim Learned to Hate Stories. And this is actually a novella that fits in and around the Cruel Prince trilogy by Holly Black, which I loved so much. It's so good.
I love that trilogy too, but I haven't read this yet.
Oh, you have to. Okay, so this, I can't tell you to read it first because it literally goes throughout his whole life. So it's about Cardan, and he is a prince of Fairy. So a little brief synopsis of the trilogy is it's focused around Jude Durant. Was that her last name? I think it was. And her twin sister. And they are humans that are being raised in the land of Fairy with all of the Fae people because she has a half-sister that is part Fae. Is that giving away too much?
No.
No, I don't think so, because
No.
you know in the beginning. Okay, I'm trying to sum up the whole trilogy in a way to not tell you anything.
Yeah, so like her stepdad is a fairy, right?
Yes,
And
yeah, he's a general.
general, right? And he went up to whatever regular Earth
Yeah,
is
the
called,
mortal world.
and fell in love with their mother. So they're kind of like being raised in this blended family, but
Yes.
it's down in the it's really
so,
good.
one of my favorite things about it is that the Fae and the fairies follow like traditional stories, so they're not like helpful people who like do all these nice things. They're like mean, and they like control humans like their minds. I think it's called ensorcelled. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but like humans can't eat fairy food because they'll lose track of time and like be controlled. So it's like a dark fantasy kind of thing. And this tells the story of Carden, who is one of the princes of fairy, and it has the most beautiful illustrations throughout it. I love it so much. Let me see if I can find one. Throughout the whole thing, there's like gold filigree.
How beautiful.
It's so pretty. It's so much prettier than I thought it would be. So it tells like stories from when he's little, when he was a kid, and explains a lot of his character backstory, like why he is the way that he is.
Yeah, because in the beginning he's pretty unlikable.
Yes, he's
you're
a jerk.
reading about him and you're just like, oh, this is the main guy. Like I don't want to read about him.
I don't like him.
So
But
this will explain that.
This explains that, and it starts at the end of the story and then goes back and then catches up to the end again at the end. So very, very good. I love Holly Black. Her writing is amazing.
Yeah, she's got so many series.
She has so many books, like the Tithe books.
Yeah. So if you like fantasy at all, you've got to check out some of her stuff. And she writes for JF as well.
Yes.
So even if you have younger siblings or if you're younger, or if you just like reading younger books. But anyway, she's got a lot of really good books.
But I would not recommend the YA for the younger kids because she does have some curse words throughout it. That's the biggest thing. There aren't really very many graphic scenes, but she does have a couple curse words. So
there's some violence.
There is violence, yeah, that's true. But not like scary
The
violence.
Fae are not nice to humans. I mean, I guess if you thought about like if you were this powerful being and you had these like little sheep, would you really be nice to them?
It's like a wolf and sheep. Like they see themselves as so much higher than humans that they're like, why should we be nice to these weaklings that can't do things?
Right.
But beautiful. This book is so beautiful. It came out literally in November, so I was like the second person. I'm so excited. I love it so much. You have to read it.
You're gonna have to buy one.
I know, I will.
Okay, my next book is called Alatsoe, and it's by Darcy Little Badger. So she is Native American author, so that was one of the reasons why I wanted to pick it up, because I just had made it a goal to try to read a little bit more diversely, and I thought it was pretty good. I think Melanie started it, and she didn't care for it as much, but maybe if you keep going.
No, I only read 10 pages. I'm like, I read so much that if I'm not caught in like the first chapter, I'm done with it.
That's good. I mean, I feel like sometimes I keep trudging through something because I feel like I should read it, and then you hate yourself by the end because you're like, I just wasted so much time. So that's a good thing if it doesn't appeal to you right away to just put it down. But I have been enjoying it. I'm not quite finished with it yet. So basically, our main character, Ellie, her name is Alatsoe, so that's her name, but she goes by Ellie. It's, I think in the Apache language, means hummingbird. So she is an asexual character. She's Apache as well, so she's living in this earth that's just like our earth, but there's magic, like the stories, indigenous stories and others as well are real. So there's like really vampires, there's really these other beings, and her power is that she can bring, let me see, I wrote it down.
She can bring animals back from the dead.
She can ask ghosts to return from the afterlife, and you can see on the cover there's dogs. Her buddy that's with her the whole time is her dog, and it's a ghost dog, and it's just so cute. I love the dog. The dog, I would totally bring, the dog died of old age, and I would totally bring my dog back if I could.
Yes.
So anyway, there's a murder mystery. Her cousin is murdered, and he comes and speaks to her in a dream and tells her who killed him. So she knows the who, but she doesn't know the why or the how. And so she's kind of trying to solve that mystery.
Maybe I will give it another try.
Yeah, just when you have a little bit less holiday stuff to read. I don't know, I just liked it. I thought she has a good relationship with her parents, and sometimes that's just refreshing to me, not to have like the drama between family members. She talks to them, and it's really story based. All her family history is like her parents talk about, like one of the main characters that she thinks about all the time, she calls sixth grade, and it's her great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmother.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't know anything about my family beyond like maybe one great. My
Yeah.
great-grandma I've heard stuff about, but beyond that I haven't. And I just love the stories.
That's really.
they talk about,
It sounds very wholesome.
Yeah, it is. There's no romantic anything going on because she's asexual. So it was just a little bit of a different feeling from the other things
Yeah.
I've been reading this month, and I kind of liked it. But so there's magical realism. I haven't found the answer to the mystery yet since I'm not done, but so far I'm really liking it. So that's all that's way.
All right.
And that's all I've got for this month. You got
I have
more over there?
one that I'm reading right now that is just so interesting sounding that I wanted to read what it was about for everyone. It's called The Way Past Winter by Kieran Millwood Hargrave. And I'm just going to read what it's about because it's so good so far. So, someone killed the heart tree. Mila loves her family, her forest, and her sled dogs. But all is not well in the wintry world where she lives with her sisters Pippa and Sana and their brother Oscar. Ever since their father mysteriously left 5 years ago, winter has remained, but never a spring in sight. And now, a strange, scary man flanked with young boys has appeared seeking shelter. By the next morning, they're gone, and they've taken Oscar with them. Mila is determined to bring Oscar back, even though it means going north, crossing frozen wildlands to find a way past an eternal winter. She can't imagine everything she'll encounter, untrustworthy mages, harrowing chases, magical waterfalls, but she'll stop at nothing to rescue her brother and set her world back to normal. And if she gets her way, he's not the only one she'll rescue. So it's very like, it kind of reminds me of Game of Thrones-esque, but it's a juvenile fiction, but it doesn't seem too young so far. Like it doesn't seem really, really childish. I'm like 40 pages in, and it just came out in October. So this is one of our new books, and it's really good so far. I love the writing style. I was like instantly into it. So yeah.
That's nice.
Yes.
When it hooks you immediately and you don't have to work so hard to keep going.
Yes.
Yeah. Nice.
So yeah.
All right, so you'll
all I
hear
got.
about the rest of that next month probably.
Yes, I will talk about it later.
All right, so if you want to continue hearing more about what we've been reading and you want to know when the next one's coming, there's one every month. Subscribe to our videos, and please let us know in the comments what you've been reading and what we should pick up to read next.
Yes, always looking for recommendations.
Definitely. All right, thanks guys. We'll see you next time.